touch on caliber again, which means minimum diameter of a barrel. So the minimum diameter of a barrel in a shotgun is between here to here, while in a rifle it's between the two lands. And then products and their damage. Okay, so let's go to shotguns, because shotgun sales have much more products. Okay, so basically I'll go into this more detail later. So basically the pellets or the bullets basically cause injuries, and then the wad mark is also released when the gun is fired. These also can cause injuries. And then the gunpowder, it can be burnt or unburnt. So if it's burnt, it will cause this thing called blackening, which can be wiped off. And if it's unburnt, it causes this thing called tattooing. So tattooing, the gunpowder is still warm, so therefore it forms like a small injury which can't be wiped off. While in blackening, it has already been burnt, so it's no longer warm. So as a result, it will just be dark, like someone who's, example, cremated ashes, something like that. Okay, so bullets cause injuries, wads can also cause injuries, and these gunpowder residue can also cause injuries. And then there is sometimes parts of the primer also come out of the barrel. This can also cause injuries. And then some guns, example rifles, have lubricant in the barrel. Okay, so sometimes these barrels are not clean and there's a lot of dust. So when the bullet fires, especially in a rifle, in shotgun you don't see this because it's all enclosed, all the bullets are enclosed in a casing. While in a rifle it goes through the barrel, which one bullet goes through the barrel at a time, which can get dirty and it can collect dirt, and this can cause, example, a dirt ring when you when you see someone who's been fired by a rifle in their entry wound. And then there is flames, because there is a reaction that occurs, the heat generated when the primer hits when the firing pit hits the primer, it will cause heat, and this will cause a reaction, and this is basically like a burn, which will cause the burning of the skin. Okay, so basically those are types of injuries that can occur. And then because of this burning reaction, there can be incomplete combustion. So this incomplete combustion can cause carbon monoxide to be produced. Okay, so carbon monoxide can be produced due to incomplete combustion of the gunpowder. This can cause, usually this happens in close ranges, so this can cause pinkish color in the skin, like a reaction when it comes in contact with the skin. Okay, so this is basically due to the incomplete combustion, there is a pinkish color of the skin, and this gives, when someone has carbon monoxide poisoning in their entry wound, this indicates that is usually a close range. Someone has fired that person from a close range. So another injury that can occur, or another feature of what, I'll just start this from the beginning. I think I must have confused you. Okay, so features of an firearm injury. So there can be carbon monoxide poisoning, which is due to incomplete combustion of the gunpowder. So you will see pinkish discoloration in the skin, which indicates close range. Okay, another close range feature is blackening. Okay, blackening. So in blackening, this is due to the burnt gunpowder, and this can be wiped off. So blackening is usually also present in close range between 0 to 30 centimeters. Then there is this thing called tattooing. Tattooing is due to unburned gunpowder. This is seen much more further, and when the person is further from the victim, so blackening is seen in the region, let's say 30 centimeters. Tattooing can be seen 60 centimeters from the victim, that from the person who's firing the victim. So 60 centimeters. Then there is thing called a dirt ring. So dirt ring, like I mentioned before, usually seen in rifle firearm. This is when the gun collects dust within the barrel. Okay, so that's result when the bullet is fired, it takes all this dust with it and hits the person's body. As a result, you will see a dirt ring. Okay, and then there are injuries which are caused by foreign materials. So these are example from wads, slugs, and stuff, which is usually seen in shotgun injuries. Okay, and then there is also burning, which is due to the heat generated. This also indicates that there is close range. And then another important feature which is seen in important injury feature that is seen is this thing called an abrasion collar. Okay, so abrasion collars are gas is seen only in entry wounds and happens when a bullet is perforates the skin. So why is it called abrasion collar? Because there is a abrasion around it. So I'll show image which will make you understand it much more clearly. Okay, so this is example of an abrasion collar. So there is like abrasion around it when the bullet penetrates the person. And then there also can be a ring of dirt. The ring of dirt, like I said before, is when when there's dirt in the barrel, and this dirt is taken by the bullet, and it once the bullet enters the person's skin, it forms a dirt ring. Okay, so yeah. So this dirt ring sometimes can be warm, and this also can cause the heat to be generated around the wound. Okay, so the abrasion rings are usually seen when in rifle firearms, not shotguns, because firstly the shotguns they disperse in their small pellets, so they are unable to produce dirt because they are already inside the container, the pellets. So therefore they don't come in contact with any dirt to produce this dirt ring. And also they are relatively small. Okay, and then another injury that can be seen is a muzzle imprint. A muzzle imprint indicates that again that it was close range. So what are the close features? So there is features of injury when a firearm. There is close, immediate range, and distant. So close range features are muzzle imprint, then burning, and sometimes there can be blackening as well. In immediate, there can be blackening, tattooing, and burning. And distance, there will usually just be a perforated laceration wound, and sometimes there can be abrasion collar as well. But the more distance, further the distance, sometimes the entry wound will be smaller than the bullet. Okay, so another important thing to note is that is the range at which you see these. So in close range, I mean, let's say I just put these values will change. Let's say 30 centimeters, up to 30 centimeters you see burning, blackening, and tattooing. Then beyond 30 centimeters in intermediate range, upwards you will see no burning, but you see blackening and tattooing. Then at about 60 centimeters you will only see tattooing. So with ranges all these features will disappear. Okay, so now we talked about types of firearms and products and their damage, and then injury factors. So what factors determine how the injury will look like in a person? Okay, so, so there are features in the gun and the bullet itself. So the type of gun will determine the injury. So if it's smooth bore or rifle, and then the bullet. If it's a shotgun bullet, which releases pellets, which will cause a very dispersed type of injury, or rifle, which fires one bullet at a time. Okay, so the type of bullet. Okay, and then the speed of the bullet. Speed of the bullet will vary in the different types of gun. So a machine gun will fire faster than a high-end gun. Therefore, the speed is the most important factor, because according to this equation, kinetic energy equals half mass into velocity squared. The speed is squared. So as a result, speed is one of the most important factor which determines the type of injury. Okay, so these factors what I mentioned depend on the gun and the bullet. And then there are things that of the person where the bullet comes in contact with. So the thickness of the skin will cause the injury, will vary. If it's a very thick skin, then the injury won't be very pronounced. Very thin skin, the injury will be much more severe. And then where it strikes, if it strikes the skin or the bone. If it's the bone, there will be injuries such as fractures. And then if it's so it can be skin or muscle, and then it can be bone, and then it can also be a viscous cavity like the peritoneal cavity. So when it hits the peritoneal cavity, it might cause this everything to collapse. Okay, and also because there is a lot of fluid, it will be much more widespread when the bullet fires a cavity. Okay, so yeah, now we talked about types of firearms, parts, products and their damage, injury factors, and then smooth bore and rifled injuries. Okay, so smooth bore and rifled injuries I talked about due to injury factors. Okay, so the injury pattern is almost the same, except the fact that in smooth bore there are pellets that are being fired, while in rifle there is single bullet that's fired at a time. So in close range, what will you see in a shotgun? It will produce like a blast injury, like if got caught to explosion, if it hits the skull. While in other areas it will gain, like I mentioned, in close range it will show these three cardinal features: burning, blackening, tattooing. And then if it's very close, like it might show muzzle imprint and carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay, then intermediate range, you won't see